Everyone, happy Wednesday. Notice how I just put time tracking sucks. I didn't even put like, this is money management day. We just want to get right to what annoys service providers the most, particularly interior designers, but even coaches and consultants. We don't like to track our time either.
Mm-mm.
All right, Megan, tell everyone who you are first, and then we'll get into the topic.
Hello, I am Megan Dahle. I am CFO for Creative Business Owners.
Yes, and she's my CFO, and everybody needs a Megan in their life. So you guys know me. I'm Nancy Gansko, for business coach and body language trainer to service-based entrepreneurs, interior designers, coaches, and consultants. And I love this topic because I remember there's a specific client of mine who, when coaching with me after like 3 sessions, said to me, I'm not tracking my time anymore. Like, you can't make me, I'm not doing it. And I was like, okay. And she's like, that's it? Okay. I said, well, if you plan on never understanding your numbers and how you can become more profitable, then you stick to that. Otherwise, suck it up and track your numbers and track your time. And she just went, okay. Like, you have to sometimes explain to everybody what this is all about.
You know, I also have an inner 3-year-old in my brain who does not want to fold laundry.
I don't want to empty dishwashers.
Does not want to eat leafy greens, right? Like, but we do it because it's good for us. We do it because we're adults, right?
Yes.
Lately, I always am developing new tools for people as they ask me different types of questions. And one of the most beneficial aha big bang moments have been coming from a new tool that I've been running my one-on-one clients through. And it is getting really down dirty into the details of what it takes to get a client from hello, hi, my name is, to the end result that you get for your clients, right? Like interior design, it's the discovery call all the way through the photography at the end. And we are digging down into what exactly is the work that you do, what are the interactions, what's the background work, and who is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I meet somebody and they say that it takes me, about 40 hours to do this kind of a job, and we break it down, and in reality, it takes them about 90 hours.
Yep.
And they're wondering why they're not profitable.
You know what the problem is, Megan, though? They're wondering why they're not profitable, but they're also always feeling like it takes them longer than everybody else. So they're afraid to actually say the number out loud. Like, it took me 90 hours, when I think the rest of the industry, it only takes 40. Says who? Who have you been checking with? Check with me, check with Megan, right? To find out how long it really takes people to do things.
Yeah.
A lot longer than most people.
Yeah. And even, things slip through the cracks, right? Like, I'm just going to do this one thing real quick. I'm just going to, I'm not going to log this time because I'm just going to do this thing. Or I do that at night while I'm watching TV. So it doesn't really count.
It's kind of like eating ice cream while you're watching TV. It doesn't count either.
It doesn't count.
Yeah.
Yeah. So allow yourself the grace, allow yourself the authority to claim what it really, really does take to complete a job and do it well, right? There's nothing wrong with that. My most profitable clients track their time. Their employees track their time.
Yes.
And they're not having problems charging their worth.
That's right.
Because of their time.
Right.
Okay, so I want this story in your head, wherever it came from, that people are going to say no because it's too high of a cost, or it shouldn't take that long because it doesn't take other people that long, or I'm just starting and I'm just learning. Whatever you are telling yourself about why you are okay not being profitable because you're just taking longer, all of these BS excuses.
I call it the stories we tell ourselves that just are not true.
We tell ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. And so the first one is like just testing your assumptions. Even if you're like, no, I'm not going to track my time. I don't care what Megan and Nancy say. I'm not going to track my time. Okay, fine. Just do it one project. Track your total time on one project and see how it lines up with what you thought it was going to be. And you're going to come across things, well, oh, actually, it wouldn't have taken that long if I didn't have to do X, Y, or Z, or there wasn't this mistake. There's always an X, Y, or Z, or a little mistake, or something that has to go back and be
Or a
fixed, right?
rabbit hole that you went down that other people would have gone down just as well in order to get to the end result that serves your client. So going down a rabbit hole is not always a bad thing.
Right, right. You might come up with something that's freaking brilliant. That's where my tools come from. They're rabbit holes. Every one of them is a rabbit hole, but
Yes.
at the end result is like, oh, something that I can use over and over again.
Yes.
Some little nugget that I learned, a little piece of my style that's now going to become part of my brand.
So let's talk about, even though we have these bullet points that we want to go over, the way you track your time. It could be the software you're using that tracks your client work. It could be right in there, which would be great because then it tracks, you can match it to a project. Or it could be something like on your phone, Harvest. It could be old school. And I literally held this up in my group, Profit Insiders Go-Getters group yesterday, and said, it could be a notebook that you keep in your pocketbook or your car that you're writing down. And then at the end of a week, you go and then assign it to the right client that you worked with. But you have to do something. It could be your calendar that you just go and add, like, oh, I just got back, and you're adding time to your calendar that then you go and batch into your other system so you can track your time. I don't care how you freaking do it, but you have to do it so that you really understand the number one, the assumptions you're making for your business, whether they're accurate or not. How do you know they're accurate unless you've actually tracked?
Yeah. All of the time, I get clients that are like, I charge $200 an hour. I charge $150 an hour. And I go back to their income statement and it doesn't track. Like, hang on a second. That means that you only worked 30 hours last week or last month. That doesn't make sense. Like, what's wrong here?
Correct.
So we gotta test those assumptions. We've gotta.
Well, let me throw one other thing in there. So we just created a new spreadsheet for our clients called the Profitability Analyzer. They take a job that this is for interior designers specifically. They take a job they've completed. They put in all the numbers, what the client gave them, what they paid out in product, if they got any referral fees, everything. And then they add how many hours, if they know it, they worked on that client. And poof, I'm a $200 an hour interior designer. Really? Because this job you made $30 an hour, right?
The internal rate, the real rate.
The real
internal rate of what's actually going on.
Yes.
I talk about this with my clients all the time. What is your internal rate versus your external rate? Because if you're telling me $200 and that's what you're telling your clients, why is it that internally, with all the work that you're doing, we're doing the $30 an hour, right? And it's not like an accusation. It's not
no, it's just knowledge.
It's hang on. There is value that you are leaving on the table.
Yes. Everyone has to have knowledge. Like, even when I first start my group programs, I always say, you know what, you think you make what you make now, wait till you get to the year, like mid-year with us, and you're going to see, holy crap, how much more money I could have been making, right? And tracking your time is not just for your business, even though we're talking business here. You track your time in your personal life and you'll find how much time you're wasting also. I have a 3-day exercise in my membership site. It's 3 days of tracking your time in your entire day, from when you wake up to when you go to bed. 3 days. I call it like time tracking for growing entrepreneurs or something. I don't even know what I call it. It's in my membership site. And when people do it, it makes them cry because they realize how much time they're wasting on things that aren't related to the core values of what they're focused on in their life right now, which is usually, when they come to someone like me, it's business, family, and personal, health. So what are you doing watching TV for 3 hours? Does that serve your purpose? I'm talking right to you, Megan. No, that was my thing. I love watching TV. So TV was always my default, right? When I'm trying to avoid things. So to really understand your business and your life and how you're directing your life and your business, not letting it direct you, you have to make sure your assumptions are more accurate by time tracking, even though it sucks. Let's go to number 2, Megan. So talk about how this works.
Team productivity. I love it when teams track time, because now we have a whole new language to talk about expectations and performance and how is this job going and where are we getting hung up, and like, whoa, hang on a second, that phase took 3 times longer for this client. Like, what can we learn from this client so that doesn't happen again? And now this, I love this part, because instead of going to an employee and saying, okay, like just general, like go do this thing, I can say you have 3 hours to get me the furniture selections for this client.
Right. Or I've
Right.
allocated 3 hours for you to create this
Right.
floor plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Like before, like I work with clients and they have a before where they're like, I don't know what my employees are doing with their time. I don't know what this takes long. Well, have you told them how long you're thinking it should take at the beginning?
Oh my God,
And
I
if
feel
you're
like
not,
banging my head on the table, because this is something that drives me crazy when people are not specific when they give instructions. Like, by when does someone need to get something done? When are
oh, and I
you
am totally guilty of this. Like I am a chronic under communicator because I grew up, you just like, oh yeah, I'll go do this thing and I'll do it quickly or whatever.
right.
When I worked at a granite quarry for the summer before I went to college, and I was like a gopher for the shop, like do this thing. And they gave me my first job on the first day. It was like, I need you to cut these donuts for the mine. Okay, like these little rubber donuts. And I came back at lunch and I said, here they are, they're done. They're like, what do you mean they're done? Every other summer intern that we had took 2 weeks to do this job. And I'm like, I don't know why it would have. It was just ding, 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 and it's done. It's a little system. Like, so in my mind, I don't need to communicate stuff like that because you just do it how I have it in my head. People don't work like me. They don't think like me. We can't assume that people work or think like you. So when you give them a job,
Yes.
and if you give them a wide open, yeah, just go do it. Get it
Oh yeah,
done.
I'll expand out to whatever time you give me to get something done. If you tell me it has to be done by
Absolutely.
tomorrow, it'll be done by tomorrow. If you tell me nothing, it's going to
Next
be a
week,
very
2 weeks.
long time. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll get done when you ask me about it next time. Like, oh yeah, I can get that done for you. Sorry.
Yes.
Here it is.
Yes.
Yes.
So your team will be more productive if you're being specific as to how long you expect them to take when they're doing certain things. But also, how do you know how long you expect them to take if you haven't tracked your own time? So it all goes back to time tracking, everyone. Right?
We gotta silence that 3-year-old. Let's silence that 3-year-old.
Yes, silence the 3-year-old that's having the hissy fit going, I don't want to track my time. Now, I will tell you, you may not have to track your time forever once you have all the data, but you have to do it for a certain amount of time in order to adjust your pricing model, figure out where your money, like how to pay yourself, estimate properly, and all those things that come after.
Yes, and your estimates, that's point number 3, right? Like your estimates are going to become so much more accurate if you're tracking your time. How on earth could you ever adjust your estimates, adjust your prices, adjust your flow of work if you are not like, oh yeah, actually in reality, if you're not questioning your assumptions and testing it like, okay, I think this phase takes me 20 hours. Oh, it took me 30 hours on that one, took me 40 hours on that one, took me another 35 on that one. Oh, whoa, 20 is way off. We need to change our estimates. So now to adjust to what reality is, our estimates are like, all right. For those of you who charge hourly for clients, I've had a few clients like this that charge hourly, and the clients are like, what the heck? Where's my stuff? Why is it taking so long? And why are my bills so high? Oh, I'm sorry. We thought it was going to take this long, but it's actually taking this much longer. So,
Right. Questioning your
right.
assumptions is necessary. But I'm even going to go one step further. That I do surveys in every one of my groups, my one-on-one clients. I'm always like, how long does it take you to do this? How long do you think it takes you to do that? And then I put it together into averages. And that's how I create some of my pricing spreadsheets. By the way, we're coming out with a pricing spreadsheet for interior designers. That's incredible. So it's coming out soon. But understanding the time also will be a red flag for the principal of the company if someone's taking too long doing something. If you know your numbers, right? If it took someone 16 hours to do something that you thought should take 4, then they need some training. Your process maybe is not laid out well enough. You need to redo your SOP. When someone tells me it takes them 90 hours to do a kitchen remodel, let's say, and I'm like, on average, it's taking people 40. So what are you doing that's adding so much time? So not only will it make your estimates more accurate, it will also identify process problems you may have. If you're taking too much time or too little time on a task, they may be missing something. So tracking time is also just helps you improve your process.
Absolutely. Which leads us to our final point, right? Of efficiency. Like we want to be efficient. Efficient means profitable. And just having that overall view of what is supposed to be going on when, and the planning that can come with it, right? Like I like to break it down, not only like how many hours in a job, but who's doing what. We found so many bottlenecks in the past few months, like, oh, our assistant, so sure, we bring on a job for 200 hours, but I'm actually putting 150 hours on the assistant and only 25 hours on the expediter. And like, no wonder the expediter is sitting there twiddling their thumbs while the design assistant's like pulling their hair out.
Yes.
And we can see by phase exactly where somebody is in their project, how much time is left for who. So we know 2 months down the road how much work you're going to have on your plate for each one of your employees.
Which is basically what an operations manager does also. Like, so my operations manager, she's in Asana all day long, reassigning to my staff different things. She sees how long, she knows how long each task should take. If a staff member says it's taking longer because I hit an obstacle, okay, she's readjusting the Asana tasks so that we know how much can people get done in an 8-hour day. You know, like we have to always assess this. And you do too, as a business owner. You have to be constantly assessing your time, your profitability, looking at your numbers, not burying your head in the sand. So I love your new magic number thing. I'm going to go do it.
Oh, that's a fun one.
Yeah. So tell everyone, like, if as it's not related to time tracking per se, but I think this is absolutely related, because if you want to actually make a certain salary, you need to back into that. How do you do that? Tell them where they should go.
Yeah, sure. I'll post the link because I haven't shortened the URL yet. It's Megan Dahle. Okay, megandahle.outgrow.us/vivid calendar or vivid calculator. It's a few questions. You don't need to use your books for this. This is all truly like close enough is good enough on this part.
Okay.
What it asks is, how much money do you want to be putting in your pocket every month? And then it will tell you how much your revenue needs to be in order to make that happen.
Ooh, okay. That sounds simple. I'm going to go do it and see what happens. But you don't need to know like anything else?
You, yeah, I mean,
minor.
The rest, I mean, the pieces that go into it, it's an estimate. It's an estimate. I've actually run myself through this like 14 different times. So what if I wanted the number to be this? What if I wanted to go spend a bunch of money on marketing? What if I have a cost of goods sold where I'm just letting, somebody else take care of X, Y, and Z for me? Yeah, it's just fun to see the different, if you pull this lever, how does that number change?
Well, that's what I love about your spreadsheets. And you meet with all my one-on-one clients at some point when they need to get to this level. And what they do is they play with all your spreadsheets to try to.
And this is actually the first thing that I do with all of your clients. Like this is that spreadsheet with taking me out of the equation and just letting the math do its job.
Yes. Okay. So everyone run over there. I'm looking to see if we're actually live in the group, and I just finally found us. I couldn't find it the way it was sorting. Okay, so everybody click on the link that we provided for you and go check out Megan's new fun, but don't get lost down a rabbit hole. Keep track of how much time you're using on it to figure out how much you want to pay yourself, how much you need to make. I can't wait to do it myself. I love your new spreadsheets. They're so much fun.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, everyone, go have a great Wednesday. And listen, we know that time tracking sucks. And I'll add one final thing. Most of my clients come on, they're hung up about time tracking. They don't want to do it because they're trying to be overly perfectionist about it also. Like, I went to a showroom and I was working on 3 different clients at the same time. I'm like, okay, were you there for 3 hours? Give an hour to each client. Or was one really heavy? All right, make them an hour and a half and split the difference with the other 2. Like, don't be so hung up to the minute, and that might take the pressure off and go, you know what? It's okay to be off 5 minutes, 10 minutes here and there. There's plenty of times you give up your time when you're thinking about that client, when you're doing things. So don't worry about it. Like, don't get anal about it, right? Do you find that too? They get like really like every minute. Like, no.
Well, I mean, look at the people we work with, right? They are perfectionists. They make beautiful things because
and they have to be like as perfectionist as possible when it comes to the designs and the measurements.
Yeah,
and this
part, I mean, I say the same thing in bookkeeping. We're not going to go chase the dime. Who cares where the dime is? Plug it and go.
Absolutely. So, all right, everyone, we will see you next time for our money management chat. Thank you, Megan.
You're welcome, Nancy. Take care.
See you next time.